Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the program. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. A couple years ago, I did a video on the snowplow parents, and that's the parents that little Johnny and little Janie never did anything wrong, and if they got yelled at the school, instead of going to try to correct the student, the parent would go yell at the teacher or the administrators or the principal. They would go with their kids to job interviews. They would go to make sure that their kid had a nice, smooth path into the future. Well, those kids now apparently are grown up. And of course, there were a few older ones than the ones I was talking about. They had a nice, easy life where they were told they can do no wrong. And they were told they're super special and they're important and they deserve the best in life. And nobody can tell you you're not the greatest. Well, those people are adults now. And we are seeing, man, are we seeing the results of that experiment, shall we call it. At first, this is the image here is from the women on the WNBA. And at first, this is what I was going to do my video about, is the women on the WNBA. But then I started thinking, you know what? My viewers don't care about the WNBA. And ironically, the people that watch the WNBA don't care about the WNBA. But I do want to talk about the issue that seems to touch all things in society, which is the entitled woman problem. I'm going to start off with this. The WNBA came out on the court, and I'm going to have to mute this because it's very loud with music and things screaming, fans. And you see them coming out saying, pay us what you owe us. Now, the irony is, if you don't know this, the WNBA is given $60 million by the NBA just to keep them afloat. Because if they weren't given that $60 million, they wouldn't be afloat. And this year, even their greatest year ever, with Caitlin Clark being on the benches and on the court, they're still insolvent. They're still not, they're something like 25% below what they would need to be self-sufficient. And so at one point there was the NBA. They decided, we'll go ahead and create a women's league. We'll be nice to the ladies. We'll give them a chance to show their skills. And the NBA funded the WNBA. And now they've been out playing for, 20 years or something like that. They still don't have enough to be self-sufficient. And instead of just being thankful that they make between $120,000 and $130,000 on average per player for playing what is decidedly middle school basketball, because my high school could have kicked the tar out of them if you ever watch any of their games. Instead of being grateful, they're coming out and demanding more money, or they're going to go on strike, or something. I don't know what you can really threaten with. They could go on strike and leave the court empty, and it'd still be kind of close to the basketball they play. If you remember, even conservative Tomi Lahren, she went on Piers Morgan's podcast, and she had a back and forth with Andrew Wilson, and she said men should protect their women and men should provide for their women. And Andrew Wilson said, well, what do men get in return? And she said, nothing. You shouldn't want anything. You don't deserve anything, but you should want to protect and provide for women because you want to and you were raised properly. So even if you're talking about conservative women at this point, and let's not forget the truth behind a day in the life work videos where we saw these entitled women going in and eating very nice food prepared for them from a buffet, and then sitting at their desk, taking a few meetings, going to a gym, going to a nap pod, and then going out to work after work to eat with their friends, again, all provided on the company dime. This was from, one of them was from Twitter. Another one of them was from Facebook. And ultimately what happened, these women got fired. They got laid off, more technically, because the company was struggling and they needed to get rid of people. And what did the women do upon getting fired? Did they lament? Did they say, I should have worked harder? Did they self-inflict it all? No. They came out and they complained and they cried and they whined because they're entitled. They've even forced themselves into men's spaces. From April 15th of 2025, how girls are changing Boy Scouts. At one time, this was a young boys group and a men's group to go ahead and teach each other good things about society and how to become a good man, how to be able to make fire from rubbing two sticks together, how to live in wildlife, how to give back to the community. There were many good things that came out of this. And then the girls forced their ways in, and they're already changing things here just a short time later. The Boy Scouts have officially become Scouting of America because they accept Girl Scouts or girls. So now Boy Scouts is officially gone. There's just Scouting. And why did the women want to force their way into Boy Scouts when there was already Girl Scouts? Because they were entitled. Everything that seems to be having issues, whether it's with marriage, whether it's with a divorce, whether it's with dating, asking women out, trying to talk to them on dating apps, all of it boils down to a problem with entitlement from the women's side. Most recently, the WNBA one is kind of what set a lot of people off on this, because here they are, they're negative money. They generate zero money. I mean, they generate money, but not enough to keep them profitable, not enough to keep them viable. Instead, they're actually ending up costing the NBA money. And instead of appreciating what they've been given, they demand more. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? In the dating world, they demand more. In marriage, they demand more. When you're finally so miserable and unhappy you decide to get divorced, they demand more. They demand over 6 foot tall. They demand a six-pack. They demand the six figures. Everything it all boils down to entitlement. And not to get too political, but if you look at a lot of the protests that are going on, whether it's against Israel or supporting Palestine, whether for a brief moment in time they wanted to come out and support Iran, whether they want to support open borders, whether they want to protest against ICE, almost all of the people behind the bullhorns and the vast majority of people standing out there are women. Here we can see a 28-year-old woman. She makes social media videos when she goes shopping and gets huge amounts of groceries with her EBT food stamps card. Basically, for those abroad, that is our tax dollars given to the government that is then given out to women that have multiple children or even a single woman, but they have kids and they don't have any man in their lives. She's currently has 9 kids and she's pregnant with triplets, which means she will be 12 people. So when people complain about population, well, go watch Idiocracy because it is coming true. Trust me. 12 kids, 100% supported by taxpayer-funded food stamps, and she's on social media showing everybody else how to take advantage of the system. Why is she able to do this? Because she's entitled. Now, in this case, her entitlement is given to her by our own government and by your and my tax dollars, but she's still entitled. And now, I wish I could say this is the only example, but here's more people on our government dime dancing with our tax dollars about the $3,000 worth of food they get to buy, all while not working. Same thing with another lady dancing. Here's one of the receipts that a cashier snapped a picture of to show people how much money they have. Her food stamp balance is $13,400, and the cash balance that she can just remove from her EBT card is $4,500. That is almost $19,000 of our tax dollars that she gets to have for doing nothing but banging, getting pregnant, having kids, and then raising the most miserable, insufferable, problematic spawn that has ever plagued the planet. And so the question really boils down to, what is the correlation or similarity between all of these? Now, we can say feminism is a problem in all of it because even the conservative women at this point have some dabbling of feminism in there. We could say it's governments giving out too much of our money, giving away free handouts. And we could say it's about the women that don't want to settle for less when they're dating, so they only want Joey's six-pack. But the similar vein underneath all of this is entitlement. And the WNBA problem is the exact same problem as all the other entitlement in the world, which is men got women out of the house. We gave them washing machines and dryers. We gave them vacuums. We gave them microwaves. We gave them all this technology to make their life very, very easy. And instead of becoming appreciative, instead of saying, you know what, you've made my life so easy, I appreciate and love you. Just go off and work during the day, make a good income, come home and take care of us. Instead of saying that, they said, life is so good at home. I want to go make my own money. I don't want to listen to men anymore. I want to do my own thing. So when you think about it, everything from divorce and marriage and dating, everything from most of our government problems, 65%, at least in the last report I saw, of government employees are women. Do you remember when USAID decided to do all the layoffs and you have these women coming out saying they're going to protest their firing? Since when do you get to protest getting fired? But they're going to do it because they feel that they're entitled to their job. They're entitled to just show up and get a paycheck. They're entitled. They're entitled to sleep with the bad boys. They're entitled to be in men's places. They're entitled to have as many kids as they want and not work, and you still pay for it on your tax dollar. They're entitled to have jobs where they make vast amounts of money without ever breaking a sweat. They're entitled to the protection and the money that men provide without ever having to give anything back. Everything boils down to entitlement. And the one thing that goes along with the entitlement that makes this so bad is the lack of accountability. At no point will these women, let's say the NBA closes down, let's say that your food stamps get taken away from you, let's say that men don't want to date you anymore. At no point do any of these women actually say, you know something, this is my bad. This was on me. I should have realized, or I should have felt lucky that I was making 130 grand a year to play basketball. I should have felt lucky to have men that wanted to date me. I should be lucky that I get anything for a government to cover up my bad decisions in life. But none of that ever happens. And granted, we as a society are certainly not holding their feet to the fire. And so what happens? Women become more unhappy, more insufferable, more argumentative, and more of a pain in the butt to try to date or have anything to do with. I think if you really want to figure it out, just understand entitlement. Ask yourself when you see a woman getting away with something, a woman acting stupid towards a cop, a woman getting in a wrestling match with a cop, a woman throwing hands with a cop, ask yourselves, why do women think this is a good idea? And then ask yourself this, does it boil back down to entitlement and lack of accountability? I think those two things pretty much touch the subject. So for the women of the WNBA, I hope you go on strike. I hope they decide to cancel the league. I hope you don't get any additional money. I hope we keep canceling food stamps for entitled people. I hope we keep turning down women on the dating apps because they're too entitled, wanting too much from men. I hope we keep telling them no to marriage, no to divorce, no to relationships. I think it all boils down to entitlement. I don't know. Let me know what you think down below, and we'll see you in the next one.